Something unusual is happening, and if you're watching this right now, there's a reason for it. There are moments in life that feel ordinary on the surface, but beneath that quiet moment, something powerful is shifting, something unseen, something that has been preparing itself for a long time. Most people move through their days without ever noticing these moments. They pass them by without a second thought, but some people feel it instantly, a sudden awareness, a deep pull inside their chest that says something important is about to happen. If you've been feeling restless lately, if life has felt strangely quiet before a sudden change, if you've had the feeling that something unexpected is approaching, then this message might be for you. Because those who walk the path of awakening often experience something others cannot explain. A moment arrives out of nowhere, and it changes everything. The unexpected moment. There is a pattern that many awakened individuals experience. Life begins to feel confusing. Doors close, plans fall apart, people walk away. It can feel like the world is pushing you backward, like everything you tried to build suddenly collapses for reasons you cannot understand. But what most people never realize is that these moments are not the end of the story. They are preparation. When someone is walking a deeper path in life, the journey rarely moves in a straight line. Instead, it moves through silence, uncertainty, and hidden transformation. And right before something significant happens, there is often a strange stillness. You might notice things slowing down. Situations that once demanded your attention suddenly lose their importance. People who once surrounded you become distant. It almost feels like life is clearing space. Not to punish you, but to prepare you. Because an unexpected moment is often how powerful shift enters someone's life. Understanding the chosen path. The idea of being a chosen one is often misunderstood. It does not mean someone is better than others. It does not mean a life without struggle. In fact, the opposite is usually true. Those who feel spiritually called often face deeper challenges. They question things others never question. They notice patterns others ignore. They feel emotions more intensely. They carry a strong sense that their life has meaning, even when they cannot fully explain it. And because of this awareness, they often feel different from the people around them. Not separate in a superior way, but different in perception. While others chase distractions, the awakened mind searches for truth. While others follow the crowd, the awakened heart listens to something deeper. And this path can feel lonely at times. But loneliness on the awakening path is often the beginning of clarity. Because when the noise fades away, the truth becomes easier to hear. Signs something is shifting. Before an unexpected moment arrives, certain signs often appear. You may start noticing repeated patterns in your life, certain lessons returning again and again until you finally understand them. You might feel a strong urge to distance yourself from environments that once felt normal. Conversations that used to entertain you suddenly feel empty. Places that once felt familiar no longer feel aligned. This is not a mistake, it is growth. Awakening often changes what your spirit is willing to tolerate. You begin valuing peace more than approval, truth more than comfort. And sometimes this shift makes others uncomfortable. Because when someone begins seeing clearly, it quietly challenges the illusions around them. Why society often resists awakening. Throughout history, individuals who question the norm have often been misunderstood. Not because they are wrong, but because they see things differently. Society tends to reward conformity. It encourages people to follow familiar paths and avoid asking difficult questions. But the awakened mind cannot ignore those questions. It begins to notice how many people move through life on autopilot. How many decisions are driven by fear of judgment. How many dreams are abandoned simply because they do not fit the expectations of others. When someone begins stepping outside those expectations, it can make others uneasy. Not because awakening is dangerous, but because it exposes uncomfortable truths. And so sometimes people try to silence what they do not understand. They dismiss it, they mock it, they avoid it. But truth does not disappear simply because it is ignored. It waits patiently for those willing to see it. The power of the unexpected. One of the most powerful parts of the awakening journey is that the biggest changes rarely arrive the way we expect. They do not always appear as dramatic events. Sometimes they arrive through a simple conversation that changes your perspective forever. Sometimes they appear through a challenge that forces you to grow in ways you never imagined. And sometimes they arrive through a quiet realization that shifts your entire understanding of life. What makes these moments powerful is not how loud they are, but how deeply they transform you. An unexpected moment can redirect the entire course of your life. It can open a door you never knew existed. It can reveal a strength inside you that you never recognized before. And once that door opens, you cannot go back to the person you used to be. Why timing matters. Many people wonder why their life path seems slower or more difficult than others. Why their breakthroughs take longer to arrive. But the truth is, some journeys require preparation. Certain experiences must happen first. Certain lessons must be understood. Because when a powerful opportunity arrives too early, it can overwhelm someone who is not ready. But when the timing is right, everything begins aligning in ways that once seemed impossible. The right people appear. The right ideas surface. The right opportunities reveal themselves. And suddenly, the struggles that once felt pointless begin to make sense. What once felt like delay becomes clear as preparation. Trusting the journey. The hardest part of this path is often the waiting. Those who sense a deeper purpose in life frequently feel like they are standing on the edge of something, but cannot yet see what it is. They feel the pull forward, yet the destination remains hidden. But the awakening journey is not meant to be rushed. It unfolds step by step, moment by moment, each challenge strengthening your awareness, each lesson refining your perspective, until eventually the unexpected moment arrives. And when it does, everything you once questioned begins to connect. Embracing what is coming. If you have felt recently like life is shifting, if certain doors have closed while new possibilities quietly appear, if you sense that something unexpected is approaching, do not ignore that feeling. Awareness is often the first sign that something meaningful is unfolding. Instead of fearing change, observe it. Instead of resisting uncertainty, learn from it. Because the unexpected moment that arrives in the life of an awakened person is rarely random. It is the result of growth that has been happening quietly beneath the surface. And when that moment finally reveals itself, it often becomes the turning point of the entire journey. A message for those who feel different. If you have ever felt like you see the world differently, if you have ever felt misunderstood because you question things others accept, if you have ever sensed that your life carries a deeper purpose, even when the path feels unclear, you are not alone. Many awakened individuals walk this path quietly. They do not always announce it. They simply continue seeking truth, learning, growing, and observing the world with deeper awareness. And every step they take moves them closer to the moment that will transform their journey. Because sometimes the greatest shifts in life do not arrive with warning. They appear unexpectedly, but they arrive exactly when they are meant to. A new chapter is closer than you think. Right now, somewhere in your life, a moment is quietly approaching. A conversation, a realization, an opportunity, a challenge that reveals a new path. You may not see it yet, but preparation is already happening. Growth is already unfolding. And when the moment finally appears, it may seem sudden, but it will not be random. It will be the result of every experience that shaped you into who you are today. If this message resonated with you, take a moment to reflect on your own journey. Think about the challenges that shaped your awareness. Think about the moments that made you question everything. Your story is still unfolding, and the unexpected moment you've been preparing for may be closer than you think. If you feel connected to this message, show your support by liking this video and sharing your thoughts in the comments. Your perspective might help someone else on their awakening journey. And if you want to continue exploring powerful messages like this, make sure you subscribe to Return to Awakening and stay connected to the path of awareness, the quiet preparation. There are seasons in life when everything feels strangely quiet. Not peaceful quiet, but a deep stillness that almost feels uncomfortable, a pause that makes you question what is happening around you. Plans slow down, certain relationships fade away, opportunities that once seemed guaranteed suddenly disappear. For many people, this phase feels like failure, like life is moving in the wrong direction. But for those on the awakening path, this quiet phase is often preparation. Because before something meaningful enters your life, space must be created for it. The separation phase. Many awakened individuals eventually go through a period of separation. Not necessarily physical isolation, but emotional and spiritual distance from what once felt normal. You may find yourself stepping away from environments that drain your energy. Conversations that once felt engaging begin to feel shallow. Social circles that once defined your identity begin to lose their hold on you. At first, this can feel confusing. You may wonder if something is wrong with you. But in reality, nothing is wrong. Your awareness is expanding, and certain environments can no longer match the direction your life is moving. This separation is not punishment. It is alignment. Seeing through the noise. One of the most challenging parts of awakening is learning to see through distractions. Modern life is filled with noise. Endless opinions, constant pressure to fit into expectations, a world that rewards appearance more than authenticity. But when someone begins awakening, they start noticing how much of that noise is unnecessary. They begin valuing silence. They begin appreciating moments of reflection rather than constant stimulation. This shift is powerful because it allows clarity to emerge. When the noise fades, the truth becomes easier to recognize. And that truth begins guiding your next steps. The inner voice. Many people spend their lives listening to everyone except themselves. Family expectations, social pressure, the opinions of strangers. Over time, this external noise becomes so loud that people forget how to hear their own inner voice. But awakening reconnects you with that voice. It begins quietly, a feeling that something does not align with your spirit, a sense that certain decisions are not truly yours. At first, this inner voice can feel uncertain, like a whisper competing against the loud world around you. But the more you listen, the stronger it becomes. And eventually, it becomes the compass guiding your entire journey. Unexpected opportunities. When an unexpected moment arrives, it rarely looks the way people imagined. Most people expect dramatic breakthroughs. They imagine sudden success or instant clarity. But the truth is, many life-changing moments appear in subtle ways. A chance meeting with someone who shares an idea that changes your thinking. A difficult situation that forces you to discover your hidden strength. A small decision that quietly redirects the entire direction of your life. At the time, these moments may seem ordinary. But when you look back later, you realize that everything changed in that single moment. The courage to step forward. Awareness alone is not enough. Once you begin recognizing these unexpected moments, the next challenge appears: courage. Because opportunity often asks you to move beyond what feels comfortable. It may require you to trust your instincts even when others doubt your decision. It may ask you to leave behind something familiar in order to pursue something meaningful. This step can feel intimidating, but courage is not the absence of fear. It is the willingness to move forward despite it. Every awakened individual eventually faces this choice: stay where it is safe or step into the unknown. And the unexpected moment often arrives precisely when that choice must be made. Breaking old patterns. Another sign that a powerful moment is approaching is the sudden awareness of old patterns. Habits that once felt automatic suddenly become visible. You begin recognizing cycles that have repeated throughout your life. The same type of challenges, the same emotional reactions, the same obstacles appearing in different forms. This awareness can feel overwhelming at first, but it is actually a breakthrough, because you cannot change what you do not see. And once you begin seeing these patterns clearly, you gain the power to break them. That is when real transformation begins. When the past stops controlling the future, and a new direction becomes possible. The strength built through struggle. Every awakened individual carries a story of struggle. Moments of doubt, periods of loneliness, times when the journey felt too heavy to continue. These experiences can feel unfair while you are living through them, but they often become the very things that build your strength. Struggle teaches resilience. It forces you to develop patience, awareness, and emotional depth. Without these experiences, many people would never discover their true potential. And when the unexpected moment finally arrives, it is often those past struggles that prepared you to handle it. What once felt like hardship becomes evidence of your growth, proof that you were being shaped for something greater. Recognizing the signs. Sometimes people sense that a turning point is near, but ignore the signs. They dismiss their intuition. They convince themselves that nothing important is happening. But awareness is one of the most valuable tools on the awakening path. Pay attention to the patterns in your life. Notice the lessons that keep appearing. Observe the moments when something inside you says, "This matters." Because those moments are rarely random. They are signals pointing toward the next chapter of your journey. And when the unexpected moment finally appears, you will recognize it not as coincidence, but as alignment, the moment before everything changes. There is a strange phase that often appears right before life shifts in a powerful way. It is the moment when things feel uncertain, almost like standing in the middle of a fog. You cannot see very far ahead. The direction of your path seems unclear. Plans that once felt certain suddenly feel fragile. But hidden inside this uncertainty is something important. Growth is happening beneath the surface. Your awareness is sharpening. Your instincts are becoming stronger. This phase tests your patience. It asks whether you will continue trusting your path even when the outcome is not yet visible. And those who remain patient during this phase often discover that the fog eventually lifts, revealing a completely new direction they never expected. When life rearranges itself. One of the most overlooked signs of an approaching shift is when life begins rearranging itself in unexpected ways. People who once played a central role in your life may slowly drift away. Opportunities you thought were essential may disappear without explanation. At first, this can feel painful. It can feel like something valuable is being taken from you. But often, life is simply removing what no longer aligns with who you are becoming. It is creating room for the next stage of your journey. Sometimes we hold on tightly to what is familiar, not realizing that something greater cannot arrive until we release what is no longer meant for us. The courage to be different. Walking the awakening path requires a kind of courage that many people never develop. It means accepting that your perspective may not always match the people around you. It means understanding that your priorities may change as your awareness grows. While others may chase approval, the awakened individual begins seeking authenticity. While others fear standing alone, the awakened spirit becomes comfortable walking a different path. This difference can sometimes lead to misunderstanding. Some people may question your decisions. Others may doubt your vision. But the awakening journey was never meant to follow the crowd. It was meant to follow truth, even when that truth leads somewhere unfamiliar. Listening to the signs around you. Life often communicates through patterns and subtle signals. A conversation that arrives at the exact moment you needed guidance. A piece of advice that suddenly changes the way you see a situation. A quiet realization that appears during a moment of reflection. These moments may seem small, but they carry meaning. They are reminders that awareness grows through observation. Those who pay attention to these signals often discover that their path becomes clearer with time. Because the unexpected moment does not always arrive with loud announcements. Sometimes it whispers, waiting for those who are paying attention. Breaking free from fear. Fear is one of the most powerful forces that keeps people from embracing their true path. It convinces them that change is dangerous. It tells them that staying where they are is safer than exploring new possibilities. But fear often protects comfort, not growth. The awakening journey eventually reveals that many of our greatest fears are simply barriers created by uncertainty. And once you move beyond them, you often realize that the path ahead was never as impossible as it first appeared. Every meaningful transformation requires stepping beyond the limits that fear tries to place on your life. The strength of awareness. Awareness changes the way you experience the world. You begin noticing things that once escaped your attention, patterns in people's behavior, the deeper meaning behind certain situations. You become more conscious of how your choices shape your future. This awareness does not make life easier, but it makes it more meaningful. Instead of moving through life on autopilot, you begin living with intention. You start choosing your actions based on clarity rather than pressure. And this clarity becomes one of the greatest strengths on your journey. The role of patience. One of the hardest lessons for awakened individuals is learning patience. When you sense that something meaningful is approaching, it is natural to want it to happen immediately. You want answers, you want direction, you want to see the full picture of where your life is going. But growth rarely follows our preferred timeline. Sometimes the most powerful transformations require time to unfold. The waiting period is not wasted time. It is the stage where your mindset, resilience, and understanding continue developing. And when the moment finally arrives, you will realize that the timing was never random. Discovering hidden strength. Many people underestimate their own strength until life challenges them in unexpected ways. Situations that once seemed impossible gradually become manageable. Obstacles that once felt overwhelming slowly transform into lessons. Through these experiences, you begin discovering parts of yourself that you never fully recognized before. Your patience deepens, your perspective expands, your ability to navigate uncertainty becomes stronger. And by the time the unexpected moment arrives, you are no longer the same person you were at the beginning of the journey. You are wiser, stronger, more aware of the path you are meant to follow, the feeling that something is near. There are moments in life when you cannot explain what you feel, but you know something is changing. It is not always dramatic. It may arrive as a quiet tension in your spirit, a feeling that something is slowly approaching. You might notice your thoughts becoming deeper. You begin reflecting on your past more often. Certain memories return, almost as if your mind is trying to connect pieces of a puzzle. At the same time, you may feel a growing sense that the future holds something different, something unfamiliar, yet strangely meaningful. This feeling is not imagination, it is awareness sharpening itself. And those who listen carefully to this inner awareness often realize that they are standing on the edge of a turning point. Moments that test your faith. Before powerful shifts happen, life often presents tests. These tests are not meant to break you. They are meant to reveal what you truly believe about yourself. Situations may arise that challenge your patience. People may doubt your direction. Circumstances may make your path feel uncertain. In those moments, it becomes easy to question everything. But every challenge holds a hidden purpose. These moments ask a simple question: will you stay true to your path even when it becomes difficult? Those who answer yes to that question often discover that the struggle itself becomes the gateway to something greater. The awakening of perspective. One of the most powerful transformations on the awakening journey is the shift in perspective. You begin seeing life from a wider view. Instead of reacting to every obstacle with frustration, you start asking what the situation is trying to teach you. Instead of feeling defeated by setbacks, you begin understanding that every experience carries a lesson. This perspective changes everything. What once felt like chaos begins to reveal patterns. What once felt like random hardship begins to look like preparation. And suddenly, the story of your life begins to make more sense. Realizing your influence. Many awakened individuals underestimate the impact they have on the world around them. They assume their thoughts, words, and actions are small in comparison to the larger world. But awareness has influence. When someone begins living with authenticity and clarity, others notice. Sometimes that influence appears through conversations that inspire someone else to reflect on their own life. Sometimes it appears through quiet examples of courage and integrity. You may never fully see how your journey affects others. But the truth is that every awakened individual contributes to the awakening of others simply by living honestly. Learning to trust yourself. For many people, one of the hardest things to do is trust their own judgment. Years of external pressure can make people doubt their instincts. They learn to rely on approval from others rather than listening to their own inner wisdom. But the awakening path gradually rebuilds that trust. You begin recognizing that your intuition has been guiding you all along. Moments where something felt wrong, but you ignored it. Moments where a quiet feeling pointed you in the right direction, even when logic could not explain it. As you learn to trust that inner guidance, your confidence begins growing. And with that confidence comes the courage to walk your path with certainty. Recognizing the turning point. Every journey eventually reaches a moment where everything begins shifting. Sometimes it arrives quietly. A new opportunity appears. A conversation changes your understanding. A decision leads you down a path you never considered before. At the time, the moment may seem small. But later, you realize that this was the turning point. The exact moment when your life moved from preparation into action. The moment when everything you had experienced suddenly began making sense. And the truth is, that moment often arrives when you least expect it. Because the most powerful changes in life rarely announce themselves in advance. They appear suddenly, transforming the path ahead, preparing for what comes next. When you sense that change is approaching, preparation becomes important. Not preparation through control, but preparation through awareness. Continue learning, continue reflecting, continue strengthening your mindset. Focus on becoming the best version of yourself, even when the future feels uncertain. Because when the unexpected moment finally arrives, you will meet it with clarity instead of confusion. You will recognize it not as coincidence, but as the next step of your journey. And when that step appears, you will be ready to take it. The journey is still unfolding. The awakening path is not a single moment. It is a continuous unfolding. Every stage reveals new insights. Every experience deepens your understanding. Even after powerful breakthroughs, the journey continues evolving. New challenges appear, new opportunities arise. But each stage carries greater awareness than the last. And with that awareness comes a deeper sense of purpose. The realization that life is not simply about reaching a destination. It is about becoming who you were always meant to be as the journey unfolds, the shift you cannot ignore. There comes a moment on the awakening path when the shift becomes impossible to ignore. For a long time, you may have sensed that something in your life was changing. Subtle feelings, quiet realizations, small moments that made you pause and think more deeply. But eventually, the quiet signals grow stronger. You begin noticing that your reactions to life are different than they once were. Situations that used to upset you no longer carry the same power. Your priorities begin changing without you forcing them to. Things that once felt important begin losing their hold on your attention. This is not confusion. This is transformation quietly taking place inside you. And when this shift becomes clear, it marks the beginning of a new chapter. When your vision expands, awakening does something powerful to the way you see the world. It expands your vision beyond the immediate moment. You begin noticing connections between experiences that once seemed unrelated. Events from your past suddenly start making sense in ways they never did before. Lessons that once felt painful begin revealing the wisdom they carried. This expanded perspective allows you to see life as a journey rather than a series of isolated struggles. You begin realizing that even the difficult chapters of your story played a role in shaping who you are becoming. And with that realization comes a deeper sense of peace, because you understand that nothing you experienced was meaningless. The power of stillness. In a world that constantly demands attention and movement, stillness becomes a rare strength. But those walking the awakening path often discover the power hidden inside quiet moments. Stillness allows reflection. It allows you to step back from the chaos of daily life and observe what is truly happening around you. In stillness, your thoughts become clearer. Your instincts become easier to hear. The noise of the world fades, and your inner awareness becomes stronger. Many unexpected breakthroughs begin in these quiet moments. Moments where you are not chasing answers, but allowing clarity to arrive naturally. That is why stillness often becomes one of the most powerful tools on the awakening journey. The weight of awareness. Awareness is a gift, but it also carries responsibility. Once you begin seeing life with clarity, it becomes difficult to ignore what you have learned. You begin recognizing patterns in the world around you. You see how fear influences decisions, how expectations shape people's choices. This awareness can sometimes feel heavy. You may feel different from those who continue moving through life without questioning deeper truths. But awareness also brings freedom, because once you see clearly, you are no longer controlled by illusions. You begin making decisions based on understanding rather than pressure. And that freedom allows you to shape your life with intention. The hidden strength within you. Every awakened individual carries a strength they did not always recognize. It is not the loud strength of dominance or control. It is the quiet strength of resilience, the ability to endure difficult seasons without losing hope, the ability to continue searching for truth even when the answers are not easy. This strength develops slowly over time, through challenges, through reflection, through moments when giving up seemed easier than continuing forward. But every step through those moments build something powerful inside you. And when the unexpected moment finally arrives, that strength becomes the foundation that allows you to step into it. Letting go of the old identity. One of the most challenging parts of awakening is realizing that you are no longer the person you once were. Your beliefs evolve, your values shift. The identity that once defined you begins transforming into something new. At first, this can feel uncomfortable. You may feel like you are standing between two versions of yourself. The old version that feels familiar, and the new version that is still unfolding. But growth often requires releasing parts of the past. Not because they were wrong, but because they belong to a different stage of your life. Letting go creates space for your next identity to emerge. And that identity often carries a deeper understanding of who you truly are. The unexpected alignment. When the moment you have been preparing for finally approaches, something remarkable often happens. Pieces of your life begin aligning in ways you could not have predicted. Conversations happen at the perfect time. Opportunities appear in places you were not even looking. Insights arrive that clarify decisions you once struggled to make. It almost feels as if the path begins revealing itself step by step. This alignment does not mean every challenge disappears, but it does mean that your direction becomes clearer. You begin moving forward with a sense of purpose rather than confusion. And the journey that once felt uncertain begins transforming into something meaningful. The threshold of change. Every awakening journey eventually reaches a threshold. A moment where staying the same is no longer possible. The awareness you have gained pushes you forward. Your spirit begins seeking something greater than the life you once accepted. Crossing this threshold requires courage, because stepping into the unknown always carries uncertainty. But remaining where you are, knowing you are meant for something more, becomes even harder. This is where transformation truly begins. The moment when you stop waiting for permission and begin trusting the path that is unfolding before you.